Hello
Hello there.
We are back live for episode 2 of Late in the Week.
Late in the week. Yeah, we do have quite a few.
I thought she was going to go into song there for a moment.
Late in the week.
We, building the show for Late in the Week, you know, at times you're kind of worried. Are there going to be newsworthy stories dropping that will fill out a show? And yes. We got lucky this week. We got bombarded with tons of news this week.
Yeah, so if, we might not get to everything at all this week. Certain things we might not get to this time around, but you never know. It could come up later. And, if you have questions and stuff, definitely leave them in the chat. We'll definitely go through and answer as much questions as we can towards the end of our show here.
But we are not doing it alone. We have the technology. We will be crossing the streams, and we are bringing in our good friend, our local Arizonian, Zach Pope. Oh, damn, that was an accident. Yeah, we're not too far away from each other, and we have collaborated once before. Rise of Skywalker, we got to go to a press screening, and Zach Pope was there. He's a veteran of the press screenings, but yes. it was really our first one in Phoenix, and right. It was an amazing moment, and to be able to share that too with Zach Pope when it all went down. Check out the review we did for it with Zach Pope on our channel. But Zach, so much news has dropped this week, and that's great because we're going back to a sense of normalcy just in terms of getting, trailers. We got the Tenet trailer last week before, but now we're moving into a little bit of casting news. Someone having issue with sound? Are we having an issue with sound? Can anyone hear me? Can't hear you? Let's see. Can you guys...
they can't hear him.
Okay, so Zach, go ahead and talk now. Can you hear him?
Can you hear me? I hope so.
Technical difficulties. We're shooting from the hip.
I can hear him. I can hear him just fine. Let's see.
I hope it works now.
Yeah, for some reason, some of the audio was turning itself off on his own. Or on its own. Let's see. Zach, can't hear Zach. Can't hear Zach.
We can't hear you.
Okay, now I can hear myself in the YouTube stream.
Okay, so we got it working. Yeah, it's weird. So utilizing Streamlabs, if anybody else has been doing live streams, there's OBS, Streamlabs, there's StreamYard, which a ton of people are utilizing StreamYard. When it comes to Streamlabs, you really have to kind of build everything on its own. And it works great when it works, but sometimes it gets a little hung up, or the audio for some reason disengages and goes quiet. But Zach Pope joining us here for the news this coming week, or at least of this past week. So Zach, first up.
But before we get there, I do want to mention something real quick. I know that there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, and we want this space to be, to kind of get your mind away from that. Things are very seriously happening away from that. We understand what's going on, but this space is more so for us to just enjoy the things that we love. Away from all of that.
And granted, the conversations are important. We're having those conversations too with our friends, with people around us. But here it's about the escape and going through the things in our daily lives that actually calms us and keeps us not so stressed out. We still get stressed on stuff, but it's the place to ease and bring calm. So that's what we're here for. Cate Blanchett is joining Borderlands. Eli Roth's live-action version of Borderlands, and I'm excited for this one. Huge fan of the Borderlands games, and for Cate Blanchett to come in and take over that role as Lilith, if it's actually confirmed, I won't know until we see it, but that's what everyone's saying is it's Lilith. Great. Like, I'm happy they're going for that level of caliber in terms of actor to take on a character role from a video game that I actually really love.
I mean, I feel like it's a hit or miss when it comes to video game movies. You either you like it because, that game is so personal to you, or you really enjoyed the movie that is an adaptation of that video game, or there's some video games movies that are just not up to par. Super Mario Bros.
I would check out our Better Late Than Never Super Mario Brothers retro reaction.
But I'm looking forward to it. I think that Cate Blanchett can bring a level of sophistication, I guess, to Lilith and make it seem top tier as far as movies go. Because I really enjoy Cate Blanchett. I think that she brings 100% every time she does any role that she does. So I'm looking forward to seeing her step her shoes into the video game universe.
Zach?
I am too. Borderlands 2 is one of my favorite loot and shoot co-op games, and I really enjoyed 3 as well. But this is big because when this was announced, I said Eli Roth's kind of a good pick for this. I actually don't mind that pick, even though I don't love all of his movies. I think it's a pretty solid pick. But then I hear Cate Blanchett's joining, and I think that's where I'm like, oh, so there's something special to this. I mean, I feel like she's a pretty picky actress when it comes to the stuff that she does. And if she is going to be playing Lilith, that is perfect. So I'm really excited nonetheless about this. I'm just curious. What do you guys think? I was thinking about this yesterday. How do you think they're going to do the style? Is it going to be the cartoony graphics that they do in the game, or are they going to do more of a realistic approach?
See, for me, I was kind of thinking maybe they would do. I would like to see it the way that the game is, to kind of make it unique to that Borderlands style. In the sense of it being kind of like, Scanner Darkly, the way that their graphics of that movie goes. It's almost, maybe tweak it a little bit better this time, and they have the technology now to kind of, fine tune it. So I'm thinking maybe something in the lines of going that route, because I do enjoy the graphics that Borderlands is, because it's very unique to that game.
Yeah, and then Eli Roth is definitely an interesting choice when it comes to the grand world that is Borderlands, because I mean he does a great job at building these smaller stories and making them, you're terrified half the time when you're in these smaller world or characters or settings. So seeing something as vast and as grand as Borderlands, for him to take that on, maybe they are going to take something, at least improve upon the graphics and CG, incorporate it into live action to give you something like Scanner Darkly, to give you something with just a little bit of pixel shading going on the characters. Either way, if they're just going to ditch that and maybe just go general movie, which I could see that too, if we ditch that, that's for the video game, but this is his interpretation for live action. I feel like putting in Cate Blanchett is just a start. We got to fill out the team. We've got to get those Vault Hunters together and who's going to be going on this journey. And especially just going with Lilith, because honestly, granted, yes, there are quite a few of the characters that do kind of have consistent returns when it comes to the sequels. Lilith is kind of one of the most important ones that runs through all the video games. Of course,
she's the one I picked for Borderlands.
It's true. It's Lilith, and it's also Claptrap at the same time.
Those are the two biggest characters.
But yeah, getting Claptrap in there, I just want to see him dance one more time.
Check me out, I'm dancing.
I have a curious. Is there another Borderlands character that you guys hope does make it in? For me, it's Tiny Tina. I really want Tiny Tina in there.
We had this conversation before. I do really like Tiny Tina, and I personally maybe might not be able to get her the voice actress that does Tiny Tina.
Yeah.
But I would love to get her because she's actually in Mythic Quest. That's on Apple TV, and she's in that show. And I think that if they brought her over to actually play Tiny Tina, I think that would be awesome.
Ashley Birch would be awesome as Tiny Tina, especially because Borderlands 3, she's older. She's not really tiny anymore. She is older Tina. And we know that Ashley Birch could end up rocking that do if they wanted to. Granted, they'll probably go a completely different way with it. Yeah. Cate Blanchett is going to be freaking Lilith. So they're going to bring in some heavy hitters, when it comes to the other characters. But yeah, Tiny Tina, Claptrap. Let's see if this works again. I love Claptrap.
A little dancing.
Yeah, just plagued with issues. Not really plagued. There's some issues, but anyways, Claptrap doing his little dance. There you go. Look
there we
at that. Best trailer, by the way, was that Borderlands 2 trailer. More wub wub.
I still think that's the best Borderlands game. What about, do you guys think 2's still the best?
100%.
Yeah.
So, for me personally, I have not gone through all of the Borderlands just yet. I started playing Borderlands, so the first one, as Lilith, but it's just that motion sickness from the game got to me for that game specifically, so I stopped playing that game. I haven't gone to 2 or 3. I know that people said that there's like a ratio thing that you can change in the game, so I do have to go back and maybe adjust that so that way I can actually play the game. Because it's weird. That's the only game that's ever happened to me where I'm like, I'll play it for like 10 or 15 minutes and then all of a sudden I'm just like, I have to stop.
No, my friend's the same way, especially with that one. I think it gets a little bit better in 2 and 3 personally, because when I first played 1, I hated it. I did not like it at all. So when 2 was coming out, I skipped it for the first few months, but then I picked it up later on and I loved it. And 3's really good. I think the villain is kind of the issue for 3 because 2 had one of the best villains for probably any video game ever. So I actually hope that's the villain they end up doing for the movie.
Handsome Jack.
At the same time, I want Handsome Jack to kind of linger in the background.
You know who I would love to see as Handsome Jack? We're going to do fan casting now. You know who I'd love to see as Handsome Jack? I feel like Timothy Oliphant could do a very good job at...
He would do awesome.
I feel like he could do a good Handsome Jack.
I feel like him or even Sam Rockwell could just kill it. Or even Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell would be awesome to see in a Borderlands movie.
I would just go Josh Brolin again.
They'll just get Colin Farrell, and then when he like takes the face off, it's Johnny Depp.
Yes.
I mean, there was a place where Johnny Depp showing up would make me happy, but you know, I love Johnny Depp to pieces, and I'm glad he's getting his support. But when it comes to Johnny Depp, I guess he's too much of a face. He's too known when it comes to those kinds of characters, and I want somebody a little different and not he's at Timothy the forefront. Timothy Oliphant is definitely a great choice. Now I was going to try and segue great choice into the next thing, but it's the choice of a new generation and the next generation of Cobra Kai students. We've got Cobra Kai season 3. We've been waiting for it for quite some time, and we don't have it yet. It's not out, and we were wondering what is up. And apparently there's a shift about in the world of Cobra Kai when it comes to who's going to get to stream it. And it's leaving YouTube. It's what it's looking like is that it's leaving YouTube.
Which is in a way, it's kind of very disappointing because, you know, I feel like for YouTube Red, this is like a flagship scripted series that they offer on there that was very highly rated for YouTube Red. That could help them in the future, but them having, but in the long run for the stories that they want to tell for Cobra Kai, that it makes sense for them to move. Because I know that YouTube Red themselves, they ordered another episode or another season, but they said that that's where they wanted to stop, and that's why. Sony TV Pictures or whoever like is owning Cobra Kai said that they wanted they asked them if it was okay for them to shop around essentially, so that way if they can put that new season 3 on a different platform and it does so well that they can be like, okay, we want another season and another season and another season, you know.
I mean, I feel like it's more so YouTube is tripped up when it came to what they wanted to do with YouTube Red and what they wanted to do with their scripted series. And yeah, it's hard to kind of turn your nose up at something that's doing so well just critically. It's well over 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's one of our highest viewed videos on our channel is a Cobra Kai reaction to the finale of season 2. But the thing is, it's hard to come by when it comes to all those people that want to watch it but don't want to get YouTube Red, and by the time you end up getting able to watch it because they made it free on YouTube, the interest is kind of gone to where you have to kind of pull yourself back into it to be able to watch it.
I think
that's me. That's me, man. I haven't seen it at all. It's one of the shows that's on my list to watch. It's that, Dave, and What We Do in the Shadows. It's just lingering around that I need to watch them.
Right.
And something about YouTube Red has just never appealed to me to get. And I know they are free, but at that point I'm just like, do I want to? But it's weird. If they get shipped to Netflix or Hulu, I'm kind of like, I'll probably start it the day they go on there, which is a weird feeling, even though I can just pull up YouTube and watch it. It's different. I really do hope it goes to Netflix or Hulu or maybe even HBO Max, if anything of that nature. I even think it would be a good show for... tell me this, is it inappropriate? Could it go on Disney Plus?
I don't think that it could go on Disney. I think it could possibly go on Disney Plus, but I feel like it's not in the mindset of Disney Plus that it would work better in Netflix or Hulu.
Correct. Okay. And I think if you were to see what they did with Lizzie McGuire and not wanting to bring too adult over in terms of making a more adult themed series, they wouldn't do it with this one because there is quite a bit of violence. Granted, yes, it's a bunch of kids beating each other up out of school at times, but when it comes down to it, I feel like it is just too much for Disney Plus to be able to handle. Netflix would be where I would absolutely want to see it go, just because I feel like if you make it to Netflix, that's kind of like the big barrel that everybody's going to, the well that everybody's going to. So I feel like putting it there, it would get more eyes on it. You're seeing a resurgence in Community just showing up on Netflix, but yet Community has been on Hulu for years. So I just feel like you're putting more focus on it.
That's what I'm interested in. Yeah, and I'm interested in that. If it goes to Netflix, I think that is something Netflix is looking for, that next show to be their next kind of Stranger Things in a sense, because it looks like Stranger Things probably ending after this next one or the one after that. So they're going to need that major flagship series, and Cobra Kai has been that major flagship series for YouTube Red, so why not make it for Netflix as well?
Sure.
Absolutely. I think that out of Hulu or Netflix, I think it would be in the best interest of Netflix to pick it up and put it on there, because I think that they would see, another hit on their hands when it comes to that. Cobra Kai, just the Karate Kid in its own is very well known. You have a lot of things that come there from pulp culture, wax on, wax off.
Right.
So for them to create a Cobra Kai series and for it to be on YouTube Red first, and it just being as popular as it is fantastic. A lot of times when you see a show come into play and it be about something that happened in the 80s or 90s, it doesn't always do well.
Right.
But I think that the creators of Cobra Kai really know and understand how to tell this story, especially in sort of the eyes of Johnny. So it is really good to see it come, full circle that way, because there are certain things that happen in season 1 that you're like, well, dang, and then you go watch Karate Kid,
of course,
and you see it in a different light, which is awesome.
And is this one of your favorite shows going on right now, guys?
Yeah. We got to know the story. We got to know how it ends.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
I really like the first Karate Kid, but I've never seen 2, and I'm pretty sure there's a third one. Never seen the third one. Do I need to be vastly into the Karate Kid world? Yes?
Yes.
I believe... Well...
Yes and no.
Yes and no. I feel like you can go into Karate Kid, or can go into Cobra Kai, not just seeing the first movie, and you'll be kind of fine with it. There are certain things that happen in Cobra Kai themselves that they go back to see, or the first, or the second movie and the third movie, more specifically the third movie. But it really just kind of hones in on what happened in the first movie, and then it kind of goes from there. So you really don't have to see 2 or 3, but it does help a little bit if you watch those.
And the only reason why I say yes is because if you want to get maximum potential, or at least you want to get the maximum enjoyment out of something that you're going to invest your time in, usually when it comes down to it, it's like, oh, I got to go read a comic, or I got to go watch this show, or I got to watch this episode. There's a prerequisite when it comes to certain things that you're watching. Yes, you can watch Cobra Kai, and they pretty much will catch you up in terms of visuals, because there are some secondary scenes that pop up, or those just straight ripped from the movies and show you certain scenes to supplement what's going on in this series. So there is that little bit of eye candy when trying to refresh your memory or educate you on what took place in Karate Kid. However, if you watch those other 3 movies, you look at it and say, okay, there's 3 movies. I don't have to do that much research to be able to watch it. And you'll already know without having to be reminded or told, hey, this is who this person is. You'll see someone come on screen and go, holy crap. Because there are aspects that are tied into past storytelling in the world of Cobra Kai. She's absolutely right, though. If you watch the first Karate Kid, you're gonna be fine in the first 2 seasons. Now we're venturing into Karate Kid 2 because we're going back to Okinawa, and that's Karate Kid 2. And eventually, I think we're going to get involved with Karate Kid 3, which has a big impact on Cobra Kai itself. Cobra Kai has nothing to do mostly with Karate Kid 2, but it has a hell of a lot to do with Karate Kid 3. Hey, did you know Daniel's son is a Cobra Kai also? Did you know Daniel's a Cobra Kai?
He was a Cobra Kai.
Did you know Daniel's a Cobra Kai? Do you know he wore it and everything? Karate Kid 3, there's a whole story behind it. So.
Okay. And if they want to
check those out.
Yeah, and if they want to get fancy with it, they can get Karate Kid 4 in there somehow, maybe.
Hey, you know what? Not. Hilary Swank, there's room for her. There's room for her.
I've heard rumors that they think about that they could potentially go there. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is a show that I didn't even really know about when the first season was coming out. When my friend kept talking about it, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What is YouTube Red? What is the show?
Yeah.
And now it's this big phenomenon. So it's really cool to see it kind of coming back.
And there are some moments in there too that I think just as a more recent fan of film, there's some people in there. What the hell is that? Oh yeah, that was our reaction to one of the certain moments in the what was it? The movie that he starred in by Clint Eastwood. It was like Harry Jewell or something. Richard Jewell?
Yeah.
Richard Jewell, I think was the one.
Yeah.
So, I don't even know his name yet, but we'll get there. The guy who played Richard Jewell is a character in...
Paul Walter Hauser.
There you go. Yeah. And he's a character... Yeah. He's a character in Cobra Kai. Amazing. So awesome. Fun.
I love him as an actor.
Right. Look, it looks like I think I may have activated the chat. Is that a thing? Can I actually do that? Let me see.
Technical difficulty.
Not really. I'm trying to see how this all see how this all works out.
But I will say though, Albert in the chat is saying, what if Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan popped up in later seasons? That's an alternate universe, so that will not be in later seasons.
Partly because they basically use the same story for Mr. Miyagi and all that.
And I like that one. I like the remake. The remake's not bad.
It was enjoyable, but my deep connection to Karate Kid is what kind of kept me from moving to that era gracefully, without nitpicking it. I'm biased, of course, going into that. But one thing that I'm not biased about, I'm actually all in on it. I'm actually enjoying the interface and what they're offering us. HBO Max. HBO Max has dropped. It is out there for the world to utilize and see. Have you been able to utilize HBO Max, Zach?
Yes, I have been so excited for this streaming service. This is one of the few that, I was probably even more excited about this than Disney Plus, to be honest. Besides The Mandalorian being on there, I was very pumped to see what HBO Max, I get to rewatch Friends. I get to go through Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and so many different things. I've always thought HBO, if I could only have one of those streaming things, I would choose HBO Now, but now I have HBO Max. I will be honest though, I'm a little bit let down by some of the stuff on there, some of the stuff that's missing. Per se, it is the first few days of a streaming service, so I don't want to totally get too nitpicky with it, but I'm here to say I don't know if it's worth buying right now unless you don't have HBO Max already, or HBO in general. It's interesting. I love the interface. I love a lot of the content that they have, but definitely there is some stuff missing. And even their original content, I didn't love too much going through it. I tried that Anna Kendrick show. I didn't hate it. I liked it. It was fine. But easily the best thing is the Looney Tunes stuff. That is the best thing on there. And Doom Patrol Season 2 is going on there, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you when it comes to, if you don't have HBO already through your cable provider, or if you don't, have HBO now, that I would probably hold off on HBO Max unless you're like a rabid, like, Friends fan and want Friends and you don't already have a physical copy of all the seasons. Then maybe. So the one thing that really hooked me on HBO Max right now, besides Harry Potter, because they're all on there too.
That's a big thing, yeah.
Is the Studio Ghibli on there. I love those movies, and I'm so excited. There's a couple of ones that I haven't seen yet that they're actually on there, so I'm really looking forward to kind of going back and watching those, especially, and then returning to my favorites like Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke. So you have all of these different venues when it comes to HBO Max that I feel like it has a little bit of something for everyone.
For me, going into HBO Max, like, I immediately just started throwing movies out. Like, is it there? Is it there? No. Weekend at Bernie's? No, not there. But one thing that I did end up stumbling upon is I'm a huge fan of the Police Academy series, and the Police Academy series was on Netflix for probably, I want to say, a month or a couple months, and I was able to go through all of them with the exception of Mission to Moscow because I'm not a huge fan of that one. But they left Netflix, and I was actually heartbroken. I'm like, oh no! Like, I was actually excited to get into them, and it ended up not happening with one last watch through, because I wanted to watch them again before they were gone, and they were gone before I knew it. So now going over to HBO, the entire Police Academy collection is there. I spent a lot of time on Police Academy talking about it right now. I love Police Academy. But Adult Swim is also something that I watched the hell out of Adult Swim when it came to just putting the TV on at night, hanging out, and Adult Swim was on. Go to buddies' houses, we're hanging out, we're drinking, Adult Swim is on. You got basically all the Adult Swim cartoons on here. No Venture Brothers, no Frisky Dingo, but that stuff's still on Hulu.
See, I was looking for Venture Brothers. Those are the ones. The other one I was also, I went, the first thing I had to go look at is what, like, Cartoon Network and Boomerang type shows they had on there. Really cool to see that they have the Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory, and then I started diving a little bit deeper. I'm like, oh, where's Johnny Bravo? Where's Courage the Cowardly Dog? I mean, I'm sure a lot of this stuff is coming, and it's the early days of a streaming service. There's some weird misses not being in there, but again, I think honestly the biggest miss for it is why isn't it not on Roku or Fire Stick? That's the biggest thing for me. My girlfriend has a Roku and she can't watch it. Like, she wants HBO Max to watch Friends on, and I'm like, oh, we'll just share an account. But she has no way of watching it other than her phone, which I think is insane. I know eventually it'll probably go to those, but it's insane that a day one it's not on there.
I completely agree. I think Roku is probably one of the more popular streaming platforms that they have out there for people that purchase those, the stick or the little box. The same thing with the Fire Stick as well. Those were all the rage every time, you go to Best Buy or Target during Black Friday. They had them in a little bin, and they were sold out by the end of, Black Friday. So obviously people have those ways to watch it. Yeah. So it is curious that they don't have it there on there at all. And I do want to mention that it has Doctor Who on there as well. It was funny enough because I got Amazon Prime because Doctor Who was on Amazon Prime, and then they took it away to HBO Max, and then I was like, oh no! But because we have HBO Max now, I can watch it again.
Yeah. What is your guys' favorite streaming service? I'm going to ask you actually two questions. What's the most underrated streaming service right now, and what is your favorite streaming service?
Oh.
Favorite streaming service is it's Netflix. We're constantly going back to Netflix because it has The Office. So depending on where The Office goes, and interface-wise, I do prefer Netflix over the other streaming services.
I think for me, it's kind of like a loaded question for me personally because there are so many different things. I think as far as content that I watch the most is maybe Netflix because, I like going back and watching Stranger Things. I watch The Office all the time. The fact that they have Community on there, I'm on there. And the fact that they have Avatar The Last Airbender on there. Like, I'm going back through there. And so I am so excited that the fact that they have it on there now, like I can relive those times when I watched it when I was younger. I think I do love Disney Plus though, because I huge on Disneyland. I go to Disneyland all the time. We're going to go to Disney World. So the fact that we have like all of those Disney movies on hand is great. So I do love Disney Plus. I just wish that they would do more original stuff, because there's only so much that you can watch those original movies like all the time, like the animation, but yeah. So those are kind of my two ones.
And deep in the film's core, said HBO Max, it's trash right now. Like Zach said in the stream, combine it with DC Universe. They have so much DC, though. Like, the level of DC that they do have on there, it's a great start. And it's already showing you that DC is losing the whole streaming, war with what they have, to where they're like, let's start moving everything over to somewhere else.
Why are they not moving it all over?
They're not ready to give up yet.
Over, and I think that's my thing. I'm like, because I like Swamp Thing. I like Titans. I've never seen this Harley Quinn show yet. I've watched clips and I really want to see it. It would get such a bigger view count if it was on HBO Max. I think in the next year or so, it's going to all go over there. I think it's just a matter of time. It has to. I think content-wise, it makes sense. I think overall, it makes sense. And, but yeah, it's funny seeing the streaming wars. I mean, right now, it's still cheaper to get every single streaming service than to have cable. So,
right.
I'm living the life. Like, I use Apple TV. I think Apple TV is actually really underrated with some of their content they have. Really looking for the Mythic Quest that you guys were talking about. I've heard so many great things about that. Netflix I use all the time for The Office. Once The Office goes to the Peacock, I don't know if I will get the Peacock though. That's still the one that I'm like,
it's clunky. We've been using it. It's clunky.
We have Comcast, and we already. It's not out. If you have Comcast service, you get it now. But if you don't have Comcast service, it's not out yet.
Yeah.
So we've already seen the interface and stuff, and I personally will say that yes, it's not very user friendly when it comes to their interface. I feel like it could be kind of confusing when you're going through the different things, and then nothing so far has grabbed me to say, yes, I need to watch this on Peacock right now. The only thing that will eventually, get people to go over there is when they move The Office over there, and when Netflix loses The Office, so...
But you know what I'm getting at? That I might just buy The Office on Vudu and save the money in the long run. That's kind of like where I'm getting to, is like, do I just buy it and just save the money and then watch it anywhere? I don't know. It's very interesting to see. Like, I don't even have CBS All Access either, and I've watched a couple shows off there through a friend's account,
right?
And it doesn't grab me. There's some weird choices they have out there for streaming services, and I know me and my friend Tyler have really discussed like the streaming wars in a big light, just discussing like we can only pick 3, which ones would we have,
right?
And it's just funny because everyone's just trying to catch up to Netflix, and Netflix is like, hey, we're all the way up here producing thousands of pieces of new content every single week, and Disney Plus is struggling to even have one, and going along with even that, Hulu's doing its own thing, but I think that's a little bit under the radar. So it's very unique. It's very unique.
It's just so funny, with all of the streaming
choices
that there are now. It just kind of reminds me from Back to the Future 2, when he's going in, he's like, I want this channel, this channel, this channel, this channel, this channel. So it's like, I'm gonna get HBO Plus, Disney Plus, Apple TV
Plus. Come on.
Let's see if it works.
You could do it. Come on.
Okay, come on. Channels 18, 24, 63, 109, 87, and Weather Channel.
There you go.
See, that's basically what the streaming services are all about now, because there's so many, but I feel like all of them have something to. There's a lot of content, Amazon Prime. I feel like they have a lot of good content on there as well. So
their
always
interface
flipping
is
back and
terrible.
forth.
Yeah,
their interface is just terrible.
100%.
I mean, they have great content.
I will say that I haven't found a streaming service that has a very good interface to move. Even Netflix, sometimes I'm like, why won't you put certain things at the top? So there hasn't been a front page thing that wows me yet.
Yeah.
Now I skipped the story. There was supposed to be the first story. So we'll circle back to that.
That's fine.
Disney World is reopening again, and we knew it was coming. They already ended up opening their parks overseas, so now we're going to get our park opening up here. And we just, wanted to touch on that. As fans of the parks, as fans that are going to Disney World come next year, which we're lucky we actually chose next year.
I might be going next year as well. My family.
Let's bring a convoy of content creators to Disney World.
Yes.
But yeah, man, you're going to have to wear the mask. You got to do the temperature checks. It's going to be spaced out. There's a way. Yeah, exactly. The fast passes, it's a minimal access.
Well, I heard now that they've eliminated doing Fast Pass Plus for the rest of the year. And then they also took away, the dining services too at the moment. So there are some implications, coming when you're trying to open back up. And I get it. I totally get it. You kind of have to take it one day at a time, especially when you have a place like Disney World, like Disneyland. Disney World has so many people that go there every year, tons and tons of people. So especially around the world too. So when you have a situation like that, you do have to kind of be cautious because one, Disney's trying to protect their butts, especially when it comes to if people go and they don't wear masks or they don't do anything and then they end up getting sick, that they could, blame it on Disney. So that's why there's a lot of these too, they're trying to save their butts from not getting, sued.
I mean, McDonald's got sued over serving hot coffee. Granted, I know there was more to it than that, but when it came down to it, they got to have everything in place to protect themselves legally. And then for the rest of us, we're all there trying to just survive and have fun and not contract or transmit anything that we have.
I think for me personally, if I did live in that area and I really did want to go back to Disney World or Disneyland whenever that opens too, that I would wear, I'm gonna have to wear the mask. It's fine, but because right now I really don't feel like wearing a mask, I won't go.
Yeah,
just not go.
It's uncomfortable to wear it that long for how much we do at Disney.
Right.
I can't do it that way, so I'll wait. I'll wait for quite some time.
It's funny for me. I've said if Disneyland opens tomorrow, I would get in my car and drive if I had to wear a mask. There's something exciting about me of going back to a park that's kind of reopened, and being able to celebrate in a weird way. But also I also don't want to be one of the first few people. I do like the reservation type thing that they're doing with the tickets right now. I think that's very smart. I know annual pass holders probably hate it because there's some limitations to them. But a business got to do what they got to do. And that's what it's going to be in the end of the day. For me, I'm just curious to see what delays happen with the rides. That was a big thing because my family was planning on going next year because I graduate college at the end of this year. My sister just graduated high school. It was kind of going to be one big thing for all of us to go, but we were planning next year because it's the 50th anniversary, I think, 60th, 50th. But they were going to have a bunch of new rides like Tron, the Guardians. So it's do we push it back now because we want those to be open too? So it's very interesting, but it's exciting too because I like these policies that they're putting in, and I don't mind them. I get why they're being safe, and I'm all for it. It's a weird time. It's a weird time. Can we just get movie theaters open back up first, though, before we get Disneyland? I mean, it's kind of weird.
It's coming. I mean, they're working towards it, so we'll definitely have that sooner rather than later.
Are there any theaters open near you guys right now? Because I know by me there's nothing. Even the independent theaters still aren't open.
They've got a drive-in.
They makeshift drive-in that they've created here in Tucson. But other than that, all of the the main chains of theaters are not open. Our local indie theater here is not open yet. So I know that they are the Loft. I know that they're looking into trying to find a way to open again. But we'll see when that happens.
I have a feeling most of these theaters will open by the middle of June, maybe the end of June, just for Tenet. Yeah. Because I still feel like Tenet's sticking. They're gonna risk it. They're gonna risk it. I think they would rather risk Tenet losing money than Wonder Woman, personally.
I think so. I mean, I feel like they're probably gonna wait until the very last minute if they have to push Tenet. Because I know they want to keep Tenet and they want to have it in theaters for sure. So if they have to push it, they might push it. But I feel like they're waiting until the last minute.
Yeah, I heard they have already the spots ready for it to where they're going to push it. So when it does inevitably get pushed, they have a place for it to land. So, and it's Nolan, you can't really, when it comes down to putting it on IMAX, putting it in the theaters, they're going to follow that guideline because of what Nolan has done for everybody, right. Or at least their studios when it comes to giving them impactful cinema. So I feel like they're going to, and he takes so much pride. It's a characteristic of him that it's got to be on the biggest and the best
70 millimeter
right,
IMAX,
you're going into the high quality screen, so there's no way that he would not allow that to end up happening. But when it comes to like Disney World, we'll wait it out. You guys, y'all have fun, y'all be safe. We'll be interested to see how it does all play out in terms of the spacing and the rides and how they're going to navigate basically that much traffic for the foreseeable future, because it's going to be a while, but
there is something that we thought maybe might not have is going to happen, but now there are speculations that Henry Cavill is going to come back as Superman.
Makes sense. I'm surprised this wasn't a thing that they were already going to have happen, and we kind of saw the gathering around the cast when it comes to supporting Zack Snyder's Justice League, where they're willing to come back in. Affleck is willing to retweet. Granted, it's a retweet, but still, like, he was all in on Batman when it was his movie. So why wouldn't you see where a world can be carved out to where you can either have just different timelines or different Earths of what is playing forward out of the DCEU or the universe just as it stands as itself? Why wouldn't you utilize one of those characters and not use them so much? We don't need Man of Steel 2 yet, but we need it. But you can take your time and start incorporating him in. That whole thing at the end of Shazam was a nice little tip of the hat. It's a start. And it shows that they ain't giving up on Superman in that universe. And then you could tie that world together if you want. They didn't show his face. They didn't recast Superman. So I feel like, bringing Cavill back, it is smart money. It's smart business when it comes to the stumble that they did in the beginning. This is how you correct it while still utilizing what you gave us to start.
Right. I still don't get why they pushed him to the back. I've just never understood why. They're so, like, if this doesn't work, we're not going to do it. Which is, I really like Birds of Prey. I want a sequel with these characters, and it makes me feel like they're not going to do it because they're reactionary. And maybe I'll be proven wrong. That they'll look and be like, okay, the virus kind of affected the box office. We're not going to touch that. But I'm really excited to see that Henry Cavill could possibly come back. But I'm also nervous that, I just want a solo film with him, it'd be cool to see him show up in Shazam 2 or something, but I want a solo film with him again.
I know that they said there was talks of J.J. Abrams going and doing a Superman. However, and we had this conversation so many times, I feel like right now J.J. Abrams needs to step away from some of the intellectual properties. Step away from those properties, like the big ones, like the Supermans, the Batmans, all of those. I think he needs to kind of slow down a little bit and not touch it right now.
I just don't think he should. I agree with you. I think JJ's a good producer. I think that's what he should stick with for right now.
Yeah.
And it's not that I hate him as a director. I love Force Awakens. I liked Rise of Skywalker, and I love Mission Impossible 3. I love what he does with Mission Impossible 3. But for me, it's just give someone else it. I would love to see Matthew Vaughn personally do a Superman movie. I think Matthew Vaughn would kill it. And I actually have a feeling, there's a gut feeling in me that if the Zack Snyder Justice League gets good clamor from the fans and in general even critics, I think that's when we get the announcement that Man of Steel 2 is coming back.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see more movement and more support from them if it comes down to the small wins, the small victories towards the character. I think the reason why they shied so much away from Superman and why they put him in the back was just partly because it wasn't a boom-in-your-face success, and they were really banking on a boom-in-your-face success in terms of critically, this is the direction we want to go, this is what everybody's going to want. And it wasn't so much as they put out Man of Steel and it was bad or a dud. Quite the opposite. Critically acclaimed. People do love Man of Steel. Some people don't like it as much as others. I'm one of those because I am a diehard Superman 2, Superman 1, that era fan. But I go back and watch them. I'm like, clunky, aged. And yes, I'm willing to look towards something new. That's why Batman vs. Superman, I was a fan of Batman vs. Superman and what they did. It felt like, oh, so this is how you're doing your movie. Short frame. You're not doing big picture. All right, well, that's what I'm putting it in my brain when I watch it. And that's where I put it, and I enjoyed it. Then Justice League, I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot missing here because you're not taking your time to elaborate on these stories. So I feel like in that whole mix, Superman just kind of got the shaft because he wasn't the one that everybody was hoping for. He wasn't championing DC. That's why they brought in Batman so fast, Wonder Woman so fast. They were like, let's just throw everything out there, like you said, reactionary, to get Cavill kind of in the mix and then in the back, and then dropped out eventually. So
yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I mean, they have talked that he's going to be in a small role, which it has to be Shazam too. It would, it just makes the most logical sense that it would be Shazam 2 that he shows up in. I know that there's been reports that he's not showing up in Black Adam, which I kind of wish that one actually would have been really cool if he would have showed up in there.
Right.
There's still the possibilities of Aquaman 2, which I would still rather just him show up in a Shazam 2.
Yeah.
And Shazam already kind of opened that door that Superman is there. Like, he already showed up for him once, and now you can have the banter between the two of them because they exist in the same world, and, you know, they're working in different cities, protecting the people of the Earth as best they can, and eventually that's when you start bringing all your characters together because you need that thread to kind of bind all these worlds that you're creating. Wonder Woman, Aquaman, they all should have been created in their own worlds, and then you start tying them together and having Superman be the one that's probably the most capable of traveling around that quick and that fast and interjecting into situations that are, you know, sure, Flash can get there too and run, but Superman can be anywhere and everywhere. So even though you're policing all these different cities, Superman could just pop in and you guys will have a little banter back and forth, and then maybe he'll help you out at the end of your movie, but you're the one that walks away with the win, you know? It's cool. It's something that I'm excited and looking forward to because we don't have to rewrite where we came from. We don't have to initiate the Flash paradox just to make it work for us. Like, you can actually, all right, now let's start walking again after the stumble, crawl to a walk. And I think Batman, you know, I feel like Ben Affleck at some point would be game. And granted, they've got the Batman going on, and that's earlier era, so they could be connected if you want. And if you don't want them to be connected, hey, they've already set it up to where they don't have to be connected if they stick true to what they did with Joker, which I have a feeling they might not, but they may. They may start connecting those. They may connect Joker with the Batman, and then you're going to end up having that world start growing, which would be cool. I'd be for it. I would love to see that end up happening, and I'm just happy for Cavill. Like you said, he's done great work. And for him to be able to come back to the role that he was so excited when he first got it, you know, to bring back some of that passion and that love to the actor who was so hyped to get that role and then got burned out by it because they just kind of dropped him. Yeah. They weren't utilizing him properly. But, you know, you end up having people that can show you that they can do it right.
If James Wan. If, like, you know, the success that he got from The Witcher, that they were like, oh, well, he can, you know, hold his own on this. Maybe we should bring him back. Maybe it was a mistake to let him go.
Yeah, it's true. They could have watched The Witcher and saw him in a whole new light.
I also think they were embarrassed by the mustache. I really think they were embarrassed by that mustache. I think the new people who are in charge there were just like, I can't believe they did that. I really cannot believe the people before us did that, because now it's like completely different execs there. So it's such a cool time to be like a nerd. If that like
get it.
Did you guys ever think we'd get the Snyder Cut? I mean, when it first came out, I said no way, but as it started going there, I'm like, I think there's a chance. I don't think any of these actors would be speaking out about it if there wasn't a chance.
I think at the beginning I was like, no, there's no way that we're gonna get this Snyder Cut, but after a while I was still saying no, but a little bit, a part of me is like, what if this does happen though? Like, what if we get this? And now that we know for sure that it's coming to HBO Max, like I'm excited to see what he has in store for his version of Justice League. Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Period at the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
I didn't think much of it. That's the thing, is so many people were very adamant and passionate about the Snyder Cut. But for me, like, when it came to what they were doing with DC, I was already kind of just like, Like, I didn't care a whole lot, when I watched Justice League. I'm like, okay, well, that's your movie. That's what you went with. Fine. I would have shit to think, but whatever. That's fine. It's fine. And then I, walked away, and everybody, a lot of people hating on it. And I get it. It's because it's incomplete. It's because it doesn't have enough time to tell that tale that it wants to tell. But when it comes down to the hype and all the people championing and all the people campaigning and trying to get it, I'm like, if I see it, cool. If I don't, I'm not that concerned about it. And that's because I didn't have the passion for their movie series anymore. There's times where, Marvel, I was getting a little bit drab. And then there's, arcs that I go on, like Civil War. I'm not a huge fan of Civil War, but damn it, I am super hyped for them taking Civil War storyline and putting it into Falcon and the Winter Soldier and going that way and taking it long form. So I am very, very hyped when it comes to certain story threads, or at least this world building that they can create in long form. So that is what I'm excited about. Now I know why I'm excited for this Justice League Zack Snyder edition. And it's because they're going to get to tell a tale a little longer, and that'll make me hyped.
Yeah, so we have a couple questions in the chat here.
Sure.
Yeah. I see we have Deep in the Film Score asked, or he already asked you, I guess, Zach, but he's asking if Ana de Armas gets the chance to be in a comic book movie role, what would be, for him, he said, for DC, Hawkgirl, and Marvel should be in X-Men. That's a tough question. I feel like she could do very well in both DC or Marvel. But as far as who I would want, which character for her to play.
See, Ana de Armas can be anybody. Yeah. Anybody she wants. Hawkgirl ended up getting some good play in the Arrowverse. Yeah. So yeah, the general audience is more aware for the most part, thanks to Arrowverse. So bringing them in to play into the cinematic universe, I could see that. But at the same time, it's like wherever she's going to be utilized, and not just like a sub character. I would even say having any of the just human characters is kind of a sub character. Her running around with the hero, like I don't want that for her. She needs to be a legit actual top tier hero. But I was thinking Perry White for some reason. I love Fishbone.
I feel like if they were to do her, if they were to do Talia al Ghul again,
she'd be cool.
I feel like she could probably do a very Talia as well.
It's that death scene, man. It's that death scene.
I want Poison Ivy. If they do Gotham City Sirens, I mean, I'd love to see her in there. I don't see her actually doing a comic book film, though. And I don't know if that's just because she's dating Ben Affleck and he's probably told her, do not do one.
Yeah.
I've done 2 and it did not work out, which are just both unfortunate events because I loved him as Batman. Daredevil I won't speak about, but in general, just that's how I'm feeling.
It makes sense. Dude, Poison Ivy is a great choice. Because she is a very well-known character, and Ana de Armas is so hot right now. Everybody loves her. But you're right. I think she would probably shy away from that. But at the same time, they all eventually come and do the superhero movies,
They do. I'm waiting for Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm waiting for Leo to get announced as one.
I mean, I would love it because, Leonardo DiCaprio is probably like one of my all-time favorite actors working today. But for me personally, I don't see him in a role like that, but I feel like he could possibly.
He'll come eventually.
We'll see. I mean, there was always rumors that he was supposed to come and be in the Star Wars. Could you imagine that, though? Him as Anakin Skywalker?
It would have been weird. I think he would have made. But what's funny though? It still would have been as bad. I mean, it's just the script,
Yeah,
I think something would have changed. Personally, for me, I think if Leo ever does a comic book film, it'll be like something like Joker.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, I could probably see him do probably. I mean, I know that we kind of already got Two-Face with, Aaron Eckhart, but like it was just briefly. But I feel like
so well done.
It was really good and really well done. But I mean, he was more so Harvey Dent than he was Two-Face.
What if
he
Harvey
didn't end
Dent
up becoming until like the
Crusader.
last half of the movie. So I'm thinking like if they really wanted to go in there, he could be like they could be that he's already Two-Face and he's already running this thing going on and in Gotham. So I could see him take on that role.
It'd be interesting. I'd like that. I agree with you. I think it would be really cool to see him in a villain role. There's quite a few actors. I'm just waiting for them to get that like Matthew McConaughey's another one. I think who'd kill it as Osborn. It's so interesting. I love like this space right now and seeing like different actors. Who's the one actor that you guys were shocked that they ever got to play like a comic book character in like one of these big budget films, other than like Joker, of course, because that's more of like a low budget one
that they got to or never got to?
Got to. Like you were like, oh, this person's doing a comic book film.
Well, for me, it was Val Kilmer as Batman. For that one, I was like, whoa, wait, what? Like Michael Keaton to Val Kilmer, and I love Val Kilmer, and that's why I really like Batman Forever.
I feel like shocking would be Val Kilmer to George Clooney. That's shocking there too.
But at the same time, around that time frame, it's like, well, I get why you went with George Clooney, but it's not as creative. And
I will say, I was actually
Batman.
surprised that Tommy Lee Jones
and me
just like was for Two-Face, like because during that time he was very popular because of U.S. Marshals, because of
The Fugitive.
The Fugitive, those very like hard hitting type movies, and then to see him come in and play Two-Face.
Like I said, everybody eventually goes for that superhero money. Fortune smiles, another day of wine and roses. In your case, beer and pizza. I would have played that video.
I do love the banter that he has back and forth with Jim Carrey, though.
Even though they hated each other.
Yeah.
But we've reached that hour. We're coming to the end of Late in the Week episode 2. Sorry for the audio difficulties in the beginning. But again, we got it working. Yes. So Zach Pope, thank you so much for joining us. We got through all the topics, buddy. And not in 3 minutes. He gets through his videos so quick. But Zach Pope, where can everyone find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube as well. Just type in Zach Pope. You'll find me over there. On Twitter, type in Pope the King. You'll find me over there as well. Thank you guys so much for having me. Like, this was a blast. I look up to you guys. I love your reactions. I love all that sorts of stuff. And I can't wait to see what you guys do in the Schmodown. Like, I am really excited because I was super sad when you guys didn't get drafted the first time, but now I'm happy that you guys both got drafted, even though you guys aren't together.
Split.
Right.
It's going to be fun. It's a little civil war in that kind of thing.
It's going to be once we get back in there to compete.
I know. I'm sure they'll be like, do you guys want to play against each other? We're like, crap, yes.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
But thanks, Zach. We appreciate it. You guys, you can also find Zach's link to his YouTube channel in the description of this video right now. So it is there already. Or hit up our social networking joints. And you can also check out the video we just did for, it wasn't Dumb and Dumber, what was the other one? Tommy Boy! Road trip movies. We just went through Better Late Than Never Road Trip Edition, so check out those videos. We did Dumb and Dumber, Vacation, Tommy Boy, and there was one other one in there, and I can't remember what it was. The one with the, oh no, what, it just went somewhere. Hold on, I'll be right back.
So we did Dumb and Dumber,
Little Miss Sunshine.
Yes,
Got it. Thank you guys so much. That's what happened. That's the Schmodown. That's what happens in the Schmodown, baby. It goes. It's gone. It's terrible. Sam Levine should drop me. Anyways, either way, thank you guys so much. That's it. It's over. We're leaving. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Love you guys. Bye. Love you guys. Bye. If I know how to end it, which I do.
Yes. That works for me, guys. Dude, honestly, that's how live streams go, though. You know what I mean? Hey. This was fun, though. No, dude, you're fun. This was a lot of fun. I had fun with it. I love doing these live streams and joining in and just all that stuff. So I was glad when you guys asked me. I was glad I didn't close tonight or anything. Yeah.